Kelly, do you think that the new media environment and this viral process that you're describing has expanded the discussion of issues? Are we getting more information, or is it just kind of circulating over and over again?
I think when people are open and have made it clear that they're open and want to invite different perspectives, it's expanded. But it can be quite narrow if you choose to make it quite narrow. I think you can stay in your own silo and never get out of it very easily.
But at some point you need to have
some facts.
Yeah, that's actually where I was going. You need some facts, and journalists are paid to go out and find facts.
That's right.
And they need to be pulled together in a way that kind of gives the context and some depth to it. And it seems to me that this is expanding, and it's interesting, and there's a sharing going on and a dialogue going on that's good. But in the end, we don't have more facts, and we're not talking about more issues. And so I don't know that the conversation's been expanded as much as some would say.
Well, somebody might, and I'm sure they have in this conversation with you, point to Talking Points memo. Talking Points memo just got a Peabody, and the guy who runs it, Josh Michael Marshall, is largely credited, though some of his work the work that he ended up doing was really started by the McClatchy newspaper chain, but be that as it may, he picked it up, and with his band of people, he himself and a few other people who look at these things, was really a driving force to bring together all the bits and pieces of information around the illegal firings of the U.S. attorneys. And so by their sort of taking this piece here, taking that piece here, somebody over here sends him a piece, somebody over here sends him a piece, they were able to knit it all together, and never would have, as he has said and others have said, if he didn't have that vehicle and didn't have the viral aspect of people picking up on what he was trying to do and sending it to him, and his then ability to piece it all together. I mean, that's what journalists used to be able to do. It costs money. And we've not done a very good job of explaining to people what costs money. We haven't explained to them that looking for those, going through those government surveys, going out for the hands-on investigations, being an eyewitness at these various scenes costs to pull it all together. And so therefore, most of the young people who are engaged in this political discourse, who get a lot of their information from new media, expect that it should be free. And what are y'all crying about in your milk anyway? And I assume that if I read enough of stuff on new media, then it'll be correct. What a lot of people don't realize, and I keep saying this, if the reporters went away, a good many of those people blogging would have nothing to say, because they have to riff off something, and they begin with the facts provided by the journalists. Not everybody, because there are some people doing some reporting. As I mentioned, Politico, they're doing their own reporting. And in fact, they pride themselves, they got in trouble, tried jumping out there early on something, but they pride themselves on breaking the scoops. So they're doing the work, but remember, those people came from traditional news media, so that's the approach that they would take. I find that the bloggers that I can go back to and read in some ongoing basis, I'm not talking about bloggers who are journalists, but other people, are the ones that begin with an announcement of the facts and then go from there. There are some people talking out of their armpit, and they haven't seen a fact in about 100 years, and nor do they care. And that I don't find interesting at all. But if you have a different perspective, given the same set of facts, I'm kind of interested to see what you might have to say. But people have to demand that. I mean, the consumer has to demand it, and the only way to demand it is to not be a part of their audience. If you find them, when I say find those sources that tell the truth most of the time, that's where you have to go. And if you're going someplace else just for entertainment, you're giving those people fodder, and that's not helping the conversation at all. I think one of the good things about this season is that we have seen the numbers of people watching what would traditionally be called boring stuff. The numbers are high. 57 million people watched last Friday's debate. It's, I think it was just short of being the second highest viewership ever. And that's pretty amazing. 39 million watched the Republican convention, and not just on the Palin day. 38.4 watched the Democratic, and not just on the Obama day. People were actually watching their day-to-day dull stuff because they were interested in what was being said. So I take heart in that. I think it's amazing that I remember one night in the primary when Charlie Gibson did moderated one of the debates during the primary on Saturday night. They drew 16 million people. So that says to me that somebody's interested. We just have to keep up the interest. And I have to believe that some of that has to do with people with so much being passed around virally. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, you actually have to know something. Similar to what I call the Jon Stewart effect. If you're going to watch Jon Stewart, you actually have to know something about what's going on. Otherwise, it has no meaning to you. None.
The preceding program was produced on LSU's campus by the Manship School of Mass Communication and the Reilly Center for Media and Public Affairs. The Manship School serves undergraduates with programs in journalism, advertising, public relations, and political communication. For more information about the school, visit manship.lsu.edu.